Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Tim Larson. We hope you enjoy today's movie discussion. Thanks for listening. Hey, welcome to the BTB Movie Club. My name is Tim Larson, here with some friends and family to talk about movie number 228. This is Nobody's Fool from 1994, starring the legendary Paul Newman. This is the point of the show where I would say, sir, take this conversation away, but it's me. This was my pick, so I can't even throw it to anybody. I will just point out before you guys start talking, I'm looking forward to this conversation because I really like this movie. It's more of a character sketch than a plot-driven movie, and I've always liked it about that. But I'm guessing that we may get some hits and misses out of the crew on this one, or maybe all misses, and I can go fuck myself. Um, so I will do a couple of likenesses here and then throw it to you guys and have you react to it. Recently we watched Tombstone, and one thing we talked about Tombstone was how many quotable lines that Val Kilmer had as Doc Hollywood, and the quippiness of this character. Paul Newman had to be eating this script up when he was looking at it. And then I feel like the overall tone of this movie or feel is similar to a movie our buddy Trap picked a long time ago, State and Maine. Had kind of a similar tone or feel to this movie. So I'll throw out those two. And of course, not go anywhere without saying this was Jessica Tandy's last film. Um, and the very first line is her saying something along the lines of, God's getting closer to me. I think he's going to get me this year, Clive. And then, of course, as we know, the actress, she passes away and doesn't do another movie. So there's some, some, I don't know if you'd call that irony or whatever.
Easter egg.
Oh, an Easter egg. Sure. Sure. Let's put that idea on the table and vote on it. I guess we'll see how everybody feels about it. So with that in mind, I think I should throw this directly to Brian and see how he
No.
feels about
Nope.
the movie.
Nope.
Nobody's
I will
fool.
pass. I I'm not I'm not going to speak from anger. You guys try to get me angry. You just did the Easter egg thing. I literally was thinking about this 2 weeks ago. I think it was. It was like, I think I need to let this go.
Everybody else needs. You don't even bring it up. Everybody else does.
Right, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying the anger that's involved with it, the fact my plight to get this term Easter egg
Yeah.
removed because it's not an Easter egg. But I actually asked Siri one day what an Easter egg was, and it basically Siri said, "Fuck you, you're an idiot." So,
Wow, Siri's really edgy. That new iPhone.
Well, it's my Siri.
Setting.
It's like took my person. It's like her. That okay. Never saw her, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I really liked. I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
For some reasons that make sense, some don't. It was just a good watch. It was just fun. This guy, Paul Newman being Paul Newman kind of felt. I haven't seen him in a lot of things. I think I know we watched Cool Hand Luke in the group, and that was my first time seeing Cool Hand Luke. And, The Color of Money was one of my earlier Paul Newman ones that I remember, and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, obviously. But it was just, he was a dick, but he wasn't, kind of thing. Or Heart of Gold kind of character. And sometimes I feel there's some ways, that I see a little of me in Sully, or Sully in me. But
It's good to hear you say
I
it
don't-
because I think somebody was going to say it sooner or later. So I'm glad I went to you first.
that they feel like Sully, or that I, because
Yeah, you. Yeah, you.
but it's just, whenever anything happens, he's there to step in and help and do the right thing, and, help the old lady back to the diner, and he's got to take over the shift for the lady who's got to take care of her mom now. I mean, that part of it, and then you know, an ex-wife. We'll call her Shelley. That's we'll call her Shelley.
Shelley.
Um,
Interesting. Just a
but
random name.
just a random mishmash of two names into one.
Uh-huh.
And you know, it's the only goal that she has was that he be miserable. That's what she wanted out of life after, you know, the divorce. And I believe there was a line that said the only thing she wants to know is that you're not having fun or something along those
Yeah, your life
lines.
wasn't fun or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yep, she
Yep.
got it
Don't worry.
right.
Yep. No, tell her not to worry.
You know, the interaction between him and Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis I haven't seen him be a dickhead in a while in a movie, and well, and you won't anymore. But you just, um, you know, he was just this arrogant ass who, you know, cheats on his beautiful wife. And by the way,
Yep.
those were perfect.
Yep.
I mean,
I should have set a
just
timer to see how long it took us to
wow.
get to that, but yeah.
I mean, both women in there had very nice boobies.
Yes, but
One was
Melanie,
clearly one was a better set.
yeah,
Clearly.
almost identical.
You mean side by side or the
Yeah.
two of them?
I did pause
Like,
it, you know,
like
see
you could
which
pick
ones
them
were
up in a
better.
lineup. Uh,
I rewound it. I was like, wait, did that just happen? It's 10 seconds back. Yep, it did.
what's the matter, Grandpa?
And it happened to be one of the 5 minutes my wife was in the room. I was like, this is not this movie. I was like, this isn't what I'm watching.
So you did not rewind, is what you're saying?
No,
just
nope.
just to make sure that you saw it correctly.
No, I pretend I didn't like it. I was like, oh, gross.
I will say
I
for
hate
that
nudity.
for that scene,
Turn this off.
as I've watched this movie quite a few times over the years, for that scene, I think it's so quick. It's done really, really tastefully. It's just like a lighthearted, goofy joke between the two of them, and I think that's great. I wouldn't call that gratuitous. I would call that lighthearted jokes, and I think that's cool.
Tasteful. Tasteful nudity, I would go with. Um, you know, then we got the relationship, him and his son, dealing with that. Seeing his son going down the same road that he went down and just like trying to convince him not to do the things that he did. It's just there was so much involved in. You know what was hardly involved in this movie was Philip Seymour Hoffman, who you chose as the actor. So
2 scenes.
yeah, okay.
I didn't say he had to be a main character.
Yeah, clearly it doesn't have to be a
Didn't
main
have to be a
character.
main character.
But yeah, you know, I got a lot of feelings about it. Could go on and on. I don't want to take stuff away from too many people. And I think with, only 5, I think I'll get a chance to talk some more later. Jessica Tandy, though, treasure. She's a treasure. I would call her a treasure.
Yeah.
She was Miss Daisy, right? Driving Miss Daisy. She was
Yep.
Miss Daisy. Okay, that's what. And there was a. Oh no, well, never mind. I'll go back to it. I'll bring it back up. I will remember to bring what I was going to say about Jessica Tandy back up. But never had seen it. Enjoyed watching it. I think it was because we had talked about this before. It was like $3.99 rent. I think it was like $6.99 to buy. And I was sitting there like, I should just no, I haven't seen it before. I'm not gonna buy it, and I'm disappointed in myself because I wouldn't have mind owning this and should have just bought it. But really good pick, Tim. And yeah, I'll
Thanks.
come back to some thoughts later.
Does anybody have a comment to make about the writer? Is anybody sitting on a comment about the writer? I don't want to ruin anybody's notes. So this is directed by Robert Benton, and he co-wrote it with Richard Russo. And I didn't get enough time to look up Richard Russo, but there's a cool little trivia note that Melanie Griffith's character, I can't think of her name to save my life right now,
Toby.
She says, Toby, thank you. She says something to Paul Newman along the lines of, we could leave this town and like Bonnie and Clyde, we could just go take off and blah, blah, blah. Well, Robert Benton is the guy who wrote Bonnie and Clyde. So that's kind of a cool little connection. What do you call it when there's a connection in the movie that's subtle? It's
Foreshadowing.
that's not quite it.
Juxtaposition.
It'll come to me. Melo, let's go to you and fire up the flames. Hey, sorry, I meant to do this. Brian and I have always enjoyed watching movies and then assigning characters to each other. And Aaron's been involved in this as well. Like when Lord of the Rings came out, Brian was like, "Well, I got to be Boromir because he's the big guy."
And Tim and I
so
both looked at each other and went, Gimli.
I was looking at these characters and I thought for sure, and you guys can take your own shots at this, but Sully, Newman's character, and what's Bruce Willis's guy, Roebuck, something, Carl?
Carl.
Those two argue so much and give each other so much shit. That's got to be a Tim and Brian scenario. And which one is which, you could leave up to the rest of you guys to figure out. I've got so nicknames for all of you guys. And Melo, as I go to you, although you're the last one I picked, and I apologize for this, I give you the choice for yours. Either Officer Raymond or Rub or Will. That's where I land with Melo. You get to pick here on everybody else I picked him for.
Will's the kid, right?
Will's the kid. Yeah.
That is 100%. So I was trying to think about it, and yeah, probably will.
All right. I left Whacker off of the. You're not a whacker.
No.
Melo, you're not a whacker. I don't care what anybody says. Your thoughts on the movie?
Sure.
Tim, I'm sorry, Melo, before you too far. Tim, I actually 100% agree with you too on the trap pick movie that it was.
Oh, State and Maine.
State and Maine. Thanks. I was gonna say Fifth and Maine, but State and Maine, because when they were doing some of the shots and they were showing the country or in the city and stuff, I was like, wow, this reminds me of State and Maine. So good call on that too.
Yep.
Sorry. Go ahead, Melo.
Well, good.
Melo, aka Will. Your thoughts on Nobody's Fool?
Sure. That's interesting because Carl Roebuck was actually the first. If I had to pick, was where I went, but it didn't fit quite right. But Will was the second one, so interesting. Definitely saw this before. It was funny because I probably haven't seen it in 25 years, whatever. I was working at a video store when this came out. Definitely watched it then. I think I might have shown it in the theater or in the store on occasion. You had to be careful with that, especially something like this. But there were certain times you could.
2 moments.
But it was funny. It was like I knew it, and I knew I had an overall, like a general good feeling about it, but I couldn't remember a lot of the specifics at all. But in the very first scene with Melanie Griffith, and she's wearing a white sweater, I go, "Oh yeah, I know what's going to happen later."
Something
about the
jogs
plot.
your memory.
Nothing about characters, but you see a sweater and you're like, I got it.
Very, very well. Anyway, yeah. So, okay, I'll just go through all the notes. So I didn't. I like the idea of what they were doing, but it actually bothered me. The opening credits where they were showing these little snippets of the town. I like the idea to give you a feel of where they're at, but the like aperture of the camera opening and closing, I don't know, just kind of it messed with my eyes a little bit. Like it took an adjustment each time it came in and out. That was just the first thing I wrote. Willis was uncredited, right, in the beginning.
Yes, they didn't advertise him when it came out either, because
was that a thing he was doing? Because he did that in 4 Rooms too.
Well, I don't know about that. I know the producers didn't put him in here because he was known strictly as an action star at this point.
Yeah.
He also took a giant pay cut to do this movie. He was making $15 million a movie, and he took the Screen Actors Guild suggested amount for this. He wanted to be in this pretty badly, so okay. I think that's why.
Yeah, interesting. Pruitt Taylor Vince. That guy was huge in the 90s. He was in so many things. I always like whatever he's in. It's just an interesting guy and interesting career. kid on the lap in the front seat while they're driving. I
Mhm.
thought that was great. That reminded, I had flashbacks there. And I love that the mom has her belt on, but the kid's on her lap in the front seat. Newman was either 68 or 69 when this was filmed, and he's playing 60. Philip Seymour Hoffman as a cop is just kind of funny in and of itself, but he's so great in anything ever that, you know, he still pulls it off. I put, I guess, kind of, you know, as we're going through the movie and we're trying to figure out where this is going, just an interesting, I wrote incestuous small town relationships, like just, you know, everybody's, it's almost like familial, like they, you know, you're stuck with each other kind of thing for better or worse. I didn't write this down, but I was curious. So so he goes over to Toby's house or whatever. She's throwing the clothes literally just on the front yard. And then he goes, I thought, to his house or apartment, and Bruce Willis is on the couch. Is that his place?
Yes.
Okay.
He stayed at Miss Bear, whatever her name, Jessica Tandy's. He stayed in her house on like the couch in the entryway or whatever.
Yeah. And then he got him a blanket. Like there's stuff.
I think you're wrong. I think he was in Paul Newman's apartment because.
Oh, he was in the apartment.
Because in the entryway, that couch, then you went up the stairs to get to Paul Newman's. When he went and got him the blanket, he just went in another room and came back and put it on.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I think he actually went into Paul Newman's apartment.
Okay.
Which would be the only time we saw it. Correct?
I think so.
Kind of in the beginning. There was
in the beginning, when she's pounding on the ceiling.
Yeah.
They show him up there.
But not very often though.
Like get out of bed, right? He just kind of gets out of bed and comes downstairs. Yeah. So so not trying to correct and be right,
I'll take that.
but I am.
I'll steal that snowblower right back, Brian.
Hard to go.
And again,
hard to go.
At this point, all we know is he doesn't want to work for that guy. He's literally in court because he says he owes him money. But this is the couch he goes to when he needs to, and then he puts a blanket on. Like it's this weird. It's definitely unconventional.
And they're playing cards together, and
I mean, and then he's still doing work for him, and you know, and he even, you know, he's like, he mentioned the job, and then they kind of argue a little bit, and then he leaves, and he's like 5, 4, 3, you know, and he's gonna come back in. All right, what's the job? You know, I put a little grumpy old men vibe.
Oh yeah.
I felt that. Sorry, it's raining now, so I don't know if this is gonna pick up. Oh, okay. So he helped him climb over the fence to get to the snowblower. How did they get it out of there? There's no way they lifted it over the fence.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, yeah. Anyway,
I thought of that too. And I was like, what?
Oh, later. So I 100%. I remember being on Route 20, driving on my dad's lap, like doing stuff like that. It's just, I don't know.
Is that what
I remember doing that with my girls, but we were like on a side road in the back of the subdivision in Maple Park. Like it was definitely not on a main drag. The director always had the windows down on cars in the middle of winter. And I think it was just because, or the cinematographer, I think it was, I'm willing to bet it was a choice because of the reflection and it was just easier to film, but it kind of broke the reality for me a little bit. A couple times, again, not to nitpick, it was just stuff that popped up. I love that his trifecta was $5,800.
Right.
Like that was the, you know, like when they said that
I'm gonna be
finally
rich.
hit, I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a real life changer. Okay, I mean, I guess, but okay. Bruce Willis left the dog chained up in a frozen house.
Yes, he did.
I didn't like that.
He did leave him a note reminding him to go to the house at least.
He did do that, but yeah, I don't know. I put very non-traditional story, plot, conflict. I don't know, Aaron said something, I think when we first started, that like there was something he missed and now he got. And I don't know if you were kidding or I mean, I don't mean this in a weird way, but like you said kind of moved you or whatever. And I got that feeling like I'm missing something. Like I really like this, and I definitely think it's well done, and the characters are up until the next thing I'm going to mention, very three dimensional, and I like what they're doing, but I still feel like I kind of missed something.
Hmm.
So I don't know, Aaron. I was leaving it over. I don't know if you did want to speak to that or.
No, I had something in my eye. That's why I shut off my camera and I was digging in my eye. And I just
Got
made
it.
a joke.
Okay. Well, because it's funny that I mean that was the joke you made, because I felt, I'm like, man, there's something here, I think, that's deeper than maybe it's in the book that I'm not getting. And then the last thing I put was just that the last poker scene was not believable. It was like every cliche, like there was the gun, a leg. The hell does that say? I don't know. Snoring. The guys, they're naked. She comes in with the Hawaii tickets. Like it's a lot. It's a
Clearly,
lot.
you're not hanging out in the right places.
I guess. That's a lot. But
What are you, married with 2 kids? What's going on here?
yeah, that's what I've been doing wrong. Anyway, I do like this movie. Like I said, I knew I had that general feeling of liking it. I do still feel like there's maybe a little something that's kind of missing, or like a resolution, or not that it has to be, all loose ends tied up or anything, but I don't know. Especially, I think maybe especially because of that last poker scene where it just gets a little screwy. I was hoping for, I don't know, maybe one more little rewrite would have tightened it up for me. But yeah, good movie. Newman, it's funny because he's acting royalty, but he's always kind of like, I wonder if he naturally is just kind of this kind of guy where, or a lot of his better known roles are like this. Like we talked about, and Slapshot was another one. It's just, I don't know. He's always kind of a guy just getting by. So,
But it's so believable, though. Like, I'll throw out another movie, Message in a Bottle, romantic comedy. I've seen it multiple times, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I think that's a fun movie to watch as a romantic comedy. Kevin Costner is his son, who's fixing boats. He's a sailboat guy, and he plays this dad, and he's kind of like he's only allowed to have 2 beers a day. Used to be a really bad drunk dad that there's been arguments in the family and stuff. He just plays it really well. He makes it very believable.
that was the one other thing I was going to say that I didn't write, that I think, because Brian talked about it a little bit, where he's this guy who's kind of down and out, but like you said, heart of gold, or that. I don't think he was always that way, and I think we're getting kind of the after. Like that's what the whole son relationship, right? Obviously, we're learning. Like he just walked away. Like I don't know how you do that, but that's where it happens. That's what this guy did, and now he's trying to make right on that by at least being a good granddad. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. He's a very flawed character who, in the end, proves himself to be of worth and necessary to the people in the town. I mean, that's what Brian's trying to say, is this is the guy who is a screw up, and the way he screws up is entertaining, especially to people watching it happen who can predict he will screw up. But in the end of the day, he's the one who will get the old lady out of the street and bring her back and make sure that everything's good for tomorrow. Like not an angel, but not a devil, right?
How
Like that's
great
what
is
this
that
whole
breaking
movie.
the lock scene, by the way?
Yeah. Not one word. Not one word. Excuse me. Click. All right. So since you threw out his name, let's go to Aaron. Aaron, your thoughts on Nobody's Fool, 1994. I have you pegged as Jocko. He's the pharmacist And the reason that I picked that guy is because he seems to have his life exactly how he wants it, and he's very entertained by the people around him.
God, I'm trying to even remember who he is
He
in
gives
the
him the
movie.
drugs. He gives Paul Newman the
Yeah,
drugs.
I remember. Well, I'm
He
actually
plays a shithead in a lot of other movies, though.
Oh, the actor?
Yeah.
who he reminded. All right, so I was looking at a little picture of him on IMDb, and I thought it was a different person until I zoomed in. I remembered who he was in the movie, and I was like, "Ooh, he aged very differently," but it
Huh.
wasn't him. Um, I think if
Fair.
you guys call him up on IMDb, and leave it as the small picture, you'll see what I'm talking about. But actually, for a minute, who I thought it was in the movie was the same guy who is the annoying guy in Groundhog's Day. That's
Oh,
kind of who
Ned
I saw him
Ryerson?
as.
Ned?
Yeah,
That
Yeah,
guy?
Ned.
for a second. And I know it wasn't him, but that's who he gave me the feels. Not that he was annoying, but just his look, his height, and I don't know, the look he had. Where do I start? Not in love with it the way you guys are. Liked it. It was fine. Couple of the things and I didn't write anything down while Mela was talking, but um, talking about how he's, what would the saying be? Every man's man, like
Mm.
a man's, but that's like his personality, like doing everything for everyone kind of thing, which made me think of what was her name in the movie? The girlfriend with the tits, or the wife
Melanie
with the
Griffith.
tits.
Toby.
Melanie Griffith.
Oh,
Yeah,
Toby.
Toby.
And I didn't get when she said, "You're a man among men," and he said, "Thank you," and I didn't mean that as a compliment.
Mhm.
And then "You're a man among men," I meant that as a compliment. I don't get it. Is it
Okay.
is it a compliment or isn't it a compliment? I thought it was a compliment, and then the first time she said, "I didn't mean that as a compliment," I was like, "Oh shit." Maybe I
it
don't
is.
understand that
She was just
saying.
being sarcastic the first time.
She applied the exact same words with different meaning in two different scenarios. So when he was talking the first time, uh, he was he was saying something like, I'm I'm better than your dummy husband" or whatever. And she's like, "You're a man among men." What she's saying is, men are stupid, and you're like the worst one.
Oh, okay.
And then in the end, he actually does the righteous thing and says, "I've got to go be a dad now. I would have done this before." And then she says it and means it.
Right. And
That's what
see,
I
I
took.
always I like that explanation. Um, where you were saying, all right, so in the context of Bruce Willis's character is dumb, and you're the dumbest of them all is kind of what she was saying. And I didn't, a man among men, I always thought was
Right.
a good thing to say, but I see how she was using it and I didn't catch it that way. I thought she was saying you're better than him, but she was saying you're actually dumber than him. I
That's
get
right.
it. So that does clear that up. There was a lot of things in the movie where I think it was close enough to where the audience would just be like, I get what you're going for there. And it a lot of things never fleshed out, or I don't think they hit every mark, but they got close enough to where you knew what they were going for and you just let it slide. But it like happened several times. Like and like the snowblower getting out of the impound yard, or
Mhm.
the construction yard. That I guess that's even more of just a maybe lazy writing or whatever. Um, but certain things like just the grandson thing, left him outside. He got scared, thought he left him, but he was
Mhm.
just in the house, and it was literally like
Yeah.
5 minutes. you
Agreed.
know, and then he goes and makes this heartfelt and just has this pocket watch speech and courage in a minute, and next time too, just on deck. That's like a once in a lifetime speech, and he just whips it out, running to his grandson that I'm sure he knew existed, but maybe never met. I don't know, just lots of little stuff like that. Um, Kind of the bridge between like 80s and more thought out movies. Um, Showing up at the Thanksgiving at his ex-wife's and chaos ensues, and it's fun because it's the kids and, they're peeing or whatever. But then how he just backs out the door and Houdini's, like you get the point that, oh, this is the kind of thing he couldn't deal with as a young father. And this is why he left the first time. I don't know. A lot of it just didn't hit the mark, I think, the way it was supposed to. Um, there were a lot of things I liked about it. I love that he has even though it's never said, it's one of the marks I guess I filled in. He has a non-traditional definition of success. I think he's kind of fine with where he's at. Living in the old lady's room, helping the old lady out. When he's going to jail or he's deciding he's going to jail that night and he's telling his son, you got to make sure you do this and you got to make sure you do this and make sure you pick up, his buddy. Just there's things that he does without knowing. And then when his son makes the comment, oh, I don't know if I can handle all this. And, well, I couldn't at first either, but it took me, a couple of years or whatever he said to get it right. I liked that. It did give me the feels for several other 92 to 99-ish movies. There's a Beautiful Girls is a movie I like. I think it has a lot, like the snow, the setting is almost identical. It could be the same town or one town over. Other ones I was trying to come up with, like With Honors, Singles, just kind of that. And you kind of said it at the start. It's like way just character driven. I mean, there's little to no action, except a gunshot and a punch to the nose. It was fine. I'm glad I watched it. I don't, the way you guys were saying, a few of you really, really like it. It's fine. I would probably watch it again, and I might even like it more, because there were maybe a couple things I didn't get. One other thing, Mela was talking about the poker scenes, and to me, kind of all of them. But the last one was the most ridiculous, with the chief of police that just testified against you and your lawyer and your boss. It's like, what the hell's going on here? This is stupid. But you got that decent scene of him leaving with Melanie Griffith, and even Bruce Willis saying, you're going to get halfway to the airport. And I mean, he didn't even make it that far. And everybody knew it wouldn't work. But kind of like you said, it was nice to be asked, so there was several redeeming scenes, quotes, memorable things. For me, it just wasn't enough, to put it all together, to put it like in the, top tier categories of movies, like a couple of those others I named from the 90s. But I liked it. It was fine.
Okay. Follow-up question. Since I did connect this to Philip Seymour Hoffman, his character is nuts, but consistent, right? Like he gives them a ticket. He's like, one more time, I'm impounding this thing on Thanksgiving. He's he doesn't just pull him over. He turns around, he cuts him off in the street, right? And he's all red face angry with him about a tail light. But what he's really upset about is the fact that he's already told him, and Sully is not, stepping in line in accordance with the law that he's in his own justification. He has told him about several
And
times.
from that street scene you're talking about, there's got to be more to their history than the 2 times he pulled him over for the taillight.
Right. You kind of see it in the glove box full of parking tickets. Those
Well,
all
Jessica
have to be
Tandy
from
said-
him.
Jessica Tandy said that in the beginning, something about like turning him in for the parking tickets or something.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So I guess my question is, I feel like the character is consistent because he's nuts, But you get to the point where he's standing in front of him while Sully's driving on the sidewalk and he takes the warning shot. Is that ridiculous to you for this movie, or is it within the consistency of his character? Who I agree with Melo, he plays this guy outstanding. But is the character just flawed from the beginning and it's just cartoonish, or is it consistent?
I don't think it's a warning shot. I think he's pulled his gun. He's put himself in a position that he doesn't want to be in. He's super nervous and the gun goes off.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, like, I think he half passes out because he's so under stress. One, because there's an editing issue and he punches him and his whole face is bloody from the ketchup he wipes on his mouth. And then the next scene he's laying against the car and there's nothing on him. But but I just think he was so amped up, the gun went off. And when he's in court, he's, cop mentality, he's justifying what he did. I gave him a warning shot. It wasn't a warning shot. He was terrified, just like Paul Newman said. He's not going to shoot.
Okay.
And then it goes off and pisses off Paul Newman and scares the shit out of himself.
Yeah.
I think.
I like that take. In my mind, he's just so this guy will not get in line. I have to do the next thing. I have to do the next thing in order of things I have to do. I have drawn the weapon. If he keeps driving, now I have to shoot. And I kind of always took it that way, but I like your take on that too. So thanks for that, Aaron. Clearly, we will go to Sneaky Dan Sears here. Dan, of course, the character that I assigned to you is the one-legged lawyer. For obvious reasons, you're always hurt, but you're always in a good mood. So, Dan, the one-legged lawyer, tell us your thoughts on Nobody's Fool.
I just suck at my career, but I think I'm doing good. Is that me?
That's not what I said, but you take that any way you want.
All right. First time watching this movie, and yeah, I really liked it. I think the words that I use for Paul Newman are kind of in his roles are unassuming and low key. I mean, he just comes off that way to me, and he's just fabulous in everything he does. We talked a little bit about Bruce Willis earlier, but I definitely had the feeling that Bruce Willis and Melanie Griffith just wanted to do a movie with Paul Newman because they, especially Bruce Willis was a big star at this time, and do a movie, just throw him in there. You could have thrown anybody in that character, they would have been fine. But I think he really wanted to do a movie with Paul Newman. But one thing I noticed in this movie was the lack of extras. It was just the people in the movie, and you rarely saw anybody else.
Yeah.
Walking
Everybody in
around.
the diner, right? It's everybody in the diner or nobody at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see what else here. This movie it's a little funny because on one hand, one sense, there's not much going on, but then in another sense, there's a lot of changes going on in Sully's life. So it was kind of a strange thing for me. But like I said, I really like the movie though. But yeah, I wrote down Sully, he spent most of his life trying to avoid responsibility. And the people in the town, because he does his little good deeds, they think that they forgive him for his little sins that he does because he helps out people, even though he's, I mean, and I knew something was going on at the beginning when he's walking down the road and his son stops and he's like, "Hey, is that you, Dad?" kind of a thing. It's like, he was reluctant to even interact with his son. He kind of just reluctantly got in the car, accepted a ride from him. So he knew right away that their relationship was, kind of estranged. And I think it was like Brian said, as soon as he went in Thanksgiving and shit started happening, he backs out the door and he's like, "I'm getting the hell out of here." Because he just
For the record,
doesn't-
I would have done the exact same thing.
that was crazy. Yep. But it was kind of funny that the little kid, he's talking with his grandson, he's giving him the ice cream, and he knows what's going on. He's like, yeah, dad's gonna leave and I'm gonna go with him, and Whacker's gonna go with mom, and they're splitting up. And he seems to know, a lot more going on than the I think the parents knew it, but they were just, not wanting to admit that they were having such big problems. Um,
Yeah, Will had a whole plan. He had it all figured out.
yeah. Yep. Let's see. What else we got here? That the whack. I'm sorry, my mind went right in the gutter when they started calling the kid Whacker. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on? They're called. And then I think that right away, maybe that's what the director wanted you to think at first, but then when he whacks him in the knee, and they're like, oh, okay, that's why they call him Whacker. What else we got here? Yeah, and, the beginning of the movie, they're kind of showing that he's kind of a loser. He has a really good poker hand, but they end up losing to Bruce Willis. But then things start turning for him. He hits the trifecta. He gets offered the trip to Hawaii, which he ultimately doesn't take. But things, start to
He won a
turn
leg in
for
the
him.
poker game, Dan.
Yep.
He won a leg and a gun in the poker game.
Yep. Yep.
But he gave both back.
He did.
Yep. I mean, what's he gonna do with the leg? I mean, really.
I do
It's
enjoy
not about
the fact.
money either.
So
it's about
there's-
the relationships. He got a son back and a grandchild.
Yeah.
You're concerned about $5,000 and a trip to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yep.
How
But-
often do you win a
but-
leg, though? There's a good joke that comes out of this, though. The cop snoring when he wakes up and he looks at the pot. He's like, "Is that my gun?"
Yeah. But and he does the right thing again when he knows if his son talks to his wife that they may be able to mend a relationship. So that's why he tells him, here, call your wife and talk to her and get the hell out of this small town. Don't take an apartment in this shitty little town. Get out of here. Be with your family. So he does the right thing a lot of times. Let's see what else we got here. But yeah, he talks with his son about how shitty his dad treated him, but then in turn, he treated his son bad. So it's, where does he have any room to talk about how bad his dad was to him when he was a terrible dad to his son? Yeah, I wrote that same thing down. How the heck did they get the snowblower out without throw it over the fence? I think they just wanted to do the whole scene of him pushing him over the fence, so I mean, that's why they did that.
I'm going to assume that once he was within the fence, he got in a door and then he came out the front door with the snowblower. I'm going to go
Very
with that.
possible. But did he have bolt cutters though in his hand?
Well, yeah, that's because the snowblower was chained to a pole.
Oh,
He had to
okay.
get rid of the chain.
That's right.
Come on, Dan.
And another thing, Peter knows what a bad father he was. So
Yes.
why would he let him take his son? Hey, go ahead, take my son for the day. And it was like, why would you do that? I mean, like you guys said, it wasn't bad. He was gone for like 3 minutes or whatever, but still.
He was a different kind of bad dad, right?
Right.
Like,
He was
he was just,
dad.
I mean, he was absentee. Yeah, he wasn't
Right.
like his father, which that stuff's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it sounded like his father beat his wife and he was bad that way. But yeah, he was bad by just not being involved.
I do like the scene right after like Aaron was bringing up that stopwatch thing. How do you just have that in your pocket if you don't have experience with being a dad, right? But I do like the scene where on the way out the door, Peter goes to him, "Hey, Dad, what the hell? Like literally, what the fuck? You weren't around for me, but all of a sudden you're a great dad to my kid." And he's got a great line as a retort because that's his masterpiece is never losing an argument. He goes, "Well, you got to start somewhere," and then he walks out the door. Solid move right there. But Peter makes a really good fucking point that you don't get any resolution to, and that's what this movie does over and over. And I kind of like that about it.
Yeah. But yeah, last thing, the last scene is Paul Newman, sleeping on the chair in Jessica Tandy's. And I think that's throughout this movie, I think he kind of earned his rest. He's kind of wore out from everything that happened, and now I'm just going to fall asleep and the movie's going to end.
Yeah.
So, good pick. I liked it. It's one of those movies that I wanted to watch for a long time, but for one reason or other, just never did. So I'm glad I was forced to watch it here at the movie group. I liked it.
Well, I appreciate being told that I forced you to watch it. I was going to do two whip around questions here since we only got five of us and we'll be short on time. And the first one was, Dan, your last point there. What do you guys think about that last scene? Dan's take on it is he deserves his rest. Um, Another take you could put on it was, since the trifecta came in and Clive Jr. is now gone, is he back to normal? Like, is the end of the movie just he's back to where it started? Or is he in a better place as a result of what's happened throughout this movie than he was at the beginning of the movie? So Dan's take is he deserves his rest. I'll go in the order that I asked you guys in the first place. Brian, your take on the end of the movie. What do you think?
He's back to where he started. Everything's come full circle. He had the threat of being kicked out. That's gone. He's got a few bucks in his pocket. He's renewed his friendship with his best friend. He's in the same relationship basically with Bruce Willis and everything. So, and he got his son who was working with him. Oh, I think he got him back together with his wife and he went home, took his kid with him. So,
Okay.
so I think, yes, it was it's Jerry Seinfeld. He broke even.
Yeah. The movie is a full circle, right?
Yeah.
Everything's circular and we completed the circle. Melo, your thoughts on the final scene. What are we supposed to take away from him falling asleep and the dog putting his head down on his shoe and that pull the curtain?
Yeah, I don't know. I actually was going to argue the other. I think Brian might have swayed me, but
That's what he
I don't know.
does.
I thought it was more. I thought it was supposed to be like, maybe that, like I wanted it to be, and that's maybe that feeling that I don't quite have or whatever. But because I thought it was supposed to be growth, right? Like there's even the fact that the trifecta hit was because he was doing good things,
Ah,
and somebody picked that up for him. Like it was his son, right? Um, so that's kind of what I thought, was that there was this little bit of growth. I don't know. Actually, most of that scene, what I really liked was just the relationship between Tandy and Newman. Like it was every time they had dialogue was fantastic.
mm-hmm.
And then the fact that like he had a nickname for everybody, called the Son the Bank, and but she had his back every step of the way, and then even more so there, where she's like, taking care of him. So I don't know. I guess I would say it's that there is growth. He's not the same person that he used to be. I don't know. We'll leave it at that. I'm not going to overanalyze, but I see the other side.
Okay. We go to Aaron, Jocko.
Well, I like how Ryan trumped Brian's Seinfeld reference with growth, because in Seinfeld there is no growth. But we also, so far we got Brian with Seinfeld, even Steven. We've got Melo with My Name is Earl with You Do Good Deeds and Good Things Happen to You. I'm going a different route. I don't think there was growth, and I don't think there needed to be. I think him sitting in that chair, and Ryan put a little extra spin on it, gave me a little extra juice. For my theory or my point of view, I was going to say, I saw him as a king sitting in a throne, content amongst his people who all need him, who all like him. Different relationships with each one. He rubs some the wrong way, but he'd always have their back and they'd always have his back. They're not going to let anything bad happen to each other, like Bruce Willis sleeping in his house, whether it was in the foyer or up in his room. Even though they have probably one of the most contentious relationships other than him and the bank, but that one, um, you know, they were never going to be friends. Um, but I almost see it as Jessica Tandy is the queen, and now like he more of a prince situation. She's, but I still see it that way. That and kind of relating it to what I said earlier, him having a different opinion of what wealth and success and fame is. It you know he's wealthy, with what he has emotionally with the people around him.
Mhm.
He's successful and famous within his small community, and that's, I think, enough for him, and that's always been enough for him. Um, so maybe at the end, I don't see him as being super reflective, um, but there's just some, you know, maybe a little bit of content that he lost over the last few weeks and he got it back.
Mm.
I don't know, especially with the dog coming in and, Jessica Tandy letting the dog, well, you might as well be in here too. And the dog immediately lays right on his feet. To me, that's just a guy who has everything. And
Yeah.
you see him in the story as a guy who has nothing,
He doesn't have it. Yeah.
but he doesn't want those things.
That's a beat up truck. That is a beat
Yeah.
up truck for a king on a throne, right? But I
But
agree with you. It's a good take.
he has a different view of success,
Yeah.
so.
Dan, your thoughts on the last scene? You already gave us your thoughts on the. Do you
I
have a
did.
changed thought on the last scene after listening to everybody else?
No, I'm sticking with what I said.
Okay. I feel like none of us talked about him throughout the time of this movie, uh, getting to know his son better and his grandsons. Um, so I will go with a little bit of a combination of Brian and Melo's take here in that, yes, he deserves this rest, but also because he did something good and he's better off than he was when the movie started because he will talk to his son again in a better relationship than when the movie started. I don't think that's why the trifecta came in. I don't think we were going for karma there, but I think just through being himself and his life experiences, he's starting to do better things than he was when he started, even though he hasn't changed his identity, which is what Aaron's getting at. I don't need a new truck. I'm fine right where I am. And um, so that's what I think that last scene is. Content is a really good word, Aaron. Rest is a really good word, Brian. And he did good things is a really good way to put that, Melo. I think because of the relationships that he made better throughout the movie, I think he's in a slightly better place, and he doesn't want anything more than that. You know, he wants to be himself more than anything, and not have anybody tell him what to do. That's for sure. My second question is, uh, like with Tombstone, there's so many quotes in here. Do you guys have a memorable quote that he did as a comeback that jumps out at you? I will start this off with one when Bruce Willis is saying this dog is pathetic and ruined, and he reminds me of you, and he says, "Yeah, he is well hung at that." Um, he is the king of the get out of the last word, sarcastic, quippy stuff. Brian, did anything jump out to you?
It wasn't his quote. I think when I actually looked it up, so I'm gonna read it from IMDb. Um, it is when they are in the judges' chambers. And I just had it. Oh yeah, Ollie, you know my feelings about arming morons.
Yeah.
You arm one, you got to arm them all. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good sport. That was just great. It
Yeah.
was like Doc Holliday said it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, or Doc Hollywood. Wait, which? Oh,
Nope.
not Doc Hollywood. Who? Yeah, that would have been wrong. Okay.
Boy, I'd like to edit that out, but I think the people need to hear that last thing. Melo, do you have
Maybe
a quote?
twice.
Maybe twice. I wrote down, want to know how many times I folded? When he was sitting with Pruitt Taylor Vince.
Oh,
He's
when they're
like,
talking about his schlong.
yeah, he's like, if you sit out here.
Oh, yeah. Your dick will
He's like, well, like,
freeze to the steps. Oh, yours isn't
yeah,
long
he's like,
enough.
yours
That
doesn't
conversation.
either. He's like, well, because I folded. And then he like keeps going with it. He's
Yeah.
like, I mean, you know how many times I folded?
Yeah.
Just
Ask me how many
stupid.
times.
But
You don't fold it. That would hurt. Yeah. That is pretty good. Aaron, do you have a quote that jumps out to you? No is an okay answer here.
Yeah, no, nothing I could think of. I was going to try to dig into IMDb, but nothing that super memorable.
Okay. Dan, do you have a quote that jumps out at you from the movie?
Let's see. I know I'm looking on IMDb.
He's sifting through quotes on
I am.
IMDb right now.
I am.
When he asked the bartender to go out to the car with him and have sex with
That's
him, and she says yes.
Don't you have any
self-respect?
pride? Yeah. I'll tell you the one that jumps out to me, I don't know if it's the best one, but it's when Bruce Willis is leaving the apartment place and he notices the snow blower, but right before that, Paul Newman says something like, "Go back home, man. You got the best looking woman in Bath." And he goes, "I sure hope I don't grow up to be like you, getting crushes on other guys' wives or whatever." And he says, what's the line? I don't remember the setup, but he says you're off to a slow start. Um, as far as being as dumb as you, that's what it was. I don't want to be as dumb as you. And he's like, "Well, you're off to a slow start." Um, God, he just everything Bruce Willis says, Newman just destroys it. And hats off to the writing for that stuff. Dan, did you pick one? Have you narrowed it down to a top five?
I did. I narrowed it down to one. When they're in the car and Whacker, when he gets in the car and he's hitchhiking, and Whacker says, "Who are you?" And his son says, "That's your grandfather." And Whacker says, "Does he always look like that?" And Paul Newman says, "Yeah, most of the time."
Yeah. Yeah. Even Jessica Tandy saying, "Don't you wish you did more with the life that God gave you?" And he's like, "Not really. Sometimes,
There was one
even
that wasn't a line, but it was the visual when he's throwing the cinder blocks and he's picturing chucking Bruce
Yeah.
Willis out the window
Yeah.
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah. You guys
That
see
was
the
fun.
analogy between Brian and I and these two characters, right? Like you guys see it.
It's funny Melo brings that up because that was one thing I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, and I rewound it. And like, there's a couple, and I wrote them down just while we've been talking. Melo had also talked about the car windows being down.
Yeah.
One that I didn't get, and my wife did end up coming in and watching like the last 20 minutes. There was boobs again. But it
Those
was
are the movies
scene,
Tim picks. I mean,
it was the scene when Jessica Tandy had her stroke. And
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to use special effects or what, but like I was like, wow. And I even made the comment to my wife, I was like, look at all the artifacting that's going on in the screen because it starts off real subtle. But then as they back out through the window,
Oh, yeah.
you're like,
There's
it's supposed to
snow.
be snowing.
There's snow
But-
in the room. Yeah.
But it's not, but it is. But they were like adding the snow too soon before the camera was out the window or it was real weird. And it was off putting.
Hmm.
And then, just since I'm talking, did anybody get from Peter, the son, Dylan Walsh? I know him by looking at him now as an adult, and I couldn't put my finger on him when, this was 1990, 4 or 2 or something like
94.
that.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like they wanted to cast somebody else, and they got him and tried to like give him a perm. make his hair a little extra messy. I was like, it's like he's a little too old. He's a little too big. His hair's a little too poofy. It was like, who did they want for this? And they settled for this guy, which, I mean, he's a good actor and he's done lots of things. But it was just like, e- e- like a lot with this movie, everything was just, 2 inches to the right. It
Okay.
just, everything missed a little bit. And he was another one and I liked the character. I liked what he did. It's just like that person didn't seem to fit to me.
See, I can sum that up with another quote because he was raised by that mother and that father who wasn't there. So he's a little messed up, right? And when they're going to steal the snowblower, which we have an issue with, that whatever. He's like, "Tell me again that this is your snowblower." And then Paul Newman fucking I knew your mother was going to raise you like this. That's
Yeah.
end the scene. You don't need another word for that.
And all right, so a quote, but Brian already said this quote, but I loved it when the son told him that, mom was really worried that, you spent your life having fun or, however that quote went. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I hope he's fucking miserable.
Yeah. Tell her not to worry.
Yeah.
Okay, so my last characters for the guys who aren't here, I had let's see, Hilty. I had Hilty as Judge Flat, sarcastically judging everybody else. Then Mike Wilden, I had as Peter, the son. Um, and then this was my favorite one, really, and I'm glad. I'm kind of sad that he's not here. I had Matt as Birdie, the female bartender, who's never really. Oh, I wish he was here for this. I can't wait for him to listen to this. Um, she is entertained by everyone around her. She's never upset with anybody, and she's somewhat flustered with everybody at the exact same time. And that has Matt Smith vibes for me. So, hey, thank you guys for putting up with a kind of a weird movie, right?
Well, real quick,
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I did say I want to go back. One thing, Dan, the reason he said he'll listen to it because these are podcasts that come out. Jessica Tandy
Thanks.
did
Thanks
this
for letting me
movie.
know, Brian.
I was just helping you out.
Heart of Gold.
There was a movie that Batteries Not Included. I don't know if anybody's seen this or remember this movie. It was
Great.
it was like, I really enjoyed that movie. A lot of people did. But it was, I think it was a Spielberg movie too, wasn't it?
Sounds right.
Yeah. So that was, I was going to bring up Jessica Tandy and Batteries Not Included. And then I thought she was the one in Cocoon who,
She's
like,
in Cocoon.
no, not that part, but she was the one who the guy didn't want to get in the water, and then his wife died, and he's like holding her in the water. And it's like, it's not working because the cocoons, they left and all that. But I don't think that was her. So,
Oh, she was she was another wife.
the Maddie character, the old lady, I thought she was the one in Mystery Alaska. Call back to Mystery Alaska, great movie, Dan. That she's the one who said, "Charlie Tanner, you're always kind of a pussy," but it was not her. So
And
I
she's
wasn't
the
sure about that when I
librarian.
looked it up.
I think she's the librarian in Ghostbusters or something like that.
She's familiar. I couldn't place it. She's definitely familiar. I kept thinking she's in A League of Their Own somewhere. Like they made her look really old, but I couldn't put it together. But Ghostbusters makes more sense and is probably accurate.
Be the lady that they poisoned? No. To sneak out? I don't know.
Oh no.
Okay.
The one who he kisses her. It's like, you were great in The Wizard of Oz. No, that was
that movie's so fucking great.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hang on. Were there, for me, not even liking it, there was a scene that I did well up, and the scene with the dick folding scene. You know, I
You
just
welled up at
I
the dick
love
folding scene.
Well,
I love that best friend character. I mean, obviously he was slow or whatever, but just that, you know, he's like, and the whole jealousy with the son coming around, and you know, I liked it better when he wasn't here. You know,
Yeah.
just doesn't know how to, you know, verbalize a lot of his emotions, even though he was doing a pretty good job. You know, and just sitting there, and when he was like, you know, when I think Paul Newman calls him his best friend, and then he gets, you're not gonna fucking cry on me, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not. Because he needed you to say that.
Yeah.
And two real quick, just the pallbearer scene overall.
Mm.
I just thought that was there was it was just they kept doing it, you know, where he kept letting go, kind of thing was really fun.
Have some
Does anybody
respect.
know what the lawyer was using as a crutch when he came back in at the end? Did anybody catch that? He had an upside down broom. What the hell? It's just a weird choice, but
You don't need a
yeah.
leg. You need a parrot. I mean,
That's perfect. That's perfect. That's another great line. You talking about the Ryan, about the pallbearer scene, the funeral scene, whatever you want to call it. One, I thought that was going to be Jessica Tandy, not the, you know. So that I was like, oh no, she fucking died, you know, which would make total sense why they'd let him out of jail for her, especially. But then that shot took so long, and the camera was getting so far away. I'm like, it's not fucking ending, is it? This isn't how the movie
yeah.
ends.
yeah.
I'd have been pissed. But anyway,
well, they did a great job with that of setting up the snowblower joke, because you think that scene's over, and then it's almost like the sound is getting quieter, and he's like, "Hey, Sully, that snowblower you gave me, somebody stole it right out of my garage." So now I got another whip around question. Who do you think now has the snowblower, Brian?
Well, by the end of the movie, it's Bruce Willis.
No, I mean
Because he's the
now,
one who stole
today.
it.
Like, who's got it right
today.
now?
Oh, Jesus. Sully's got it back.
Yeah, I think Bruce Willis gives up. Mela?
No, Bruce Willis, because
Too stubborn. Too stubborn
he's
to
younger
give
and
up.
he can keep it going longer.
Aaron?
this was 94, and Paul Newman was playing a 60-year-old. He's dead.
Kind of where I was going.
He does not have the snowblower.
Actually, his kid probably has it.
But he wouldn't let him get it back, though. He would have stole it and made sure he never got it back. Dan?
I think Melanie Griffith got it in the divorce settlement from.
That's a good take.
You know what didn't happen? He didn't use that $5,800 to go buy a snowblower, because
No.
Sully would not do that.
No, absolutely not. Brian's got some insight into that character.
He lost it all in the card game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's put a bow on that, and let's move on to Melo's pick. Melo, you were dealt a couple of actors, and they were, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra Bullock and Burt Reynolds.
I was really worried those weren't going to be the two, because that's what I did a lot of work on this week.
I got a lot of writing on this little piece of paper, man. I'm just doing the best I can over here.
I pretty much had it in my head. It was going to be Burt Reynolds. And so I spent a lot of time looking at that. I did go with Sandra Bullock just to see if there was anything that I was missing. I don't know, bear with me for like 2 minutes. There was, a lot. So the Sandra Bullock part, so Gravity, I really like. I wanted to watch it again. And then Miss Congeniality, I thought might be kind of fun for a group full of dudes, but I didn't go with either of those. I did go with Burt Reynolds, and then on that it was okay. Deliverance was like number one. I think it kind of would make a lot of sense. I also really wanted to do. I love kind of a good cheesy 80s movie or something like that, but I don't know that it fits for this really well. So like Cannonball Run, Longest Yard, I went deep dive. There was stuff I never heard of. Like he's done so much stuff and a lot of it bad. There's a movie called White Lightning. I don't know if anybody's seen that. that sounded really intriguing. Do yourself a favor and like Google the plot of that. And then there's even a documentary on Burt Reynolds that I thought would be really cool. We really haven't done anything like that, but I didn't. I went with The Last Movie Star, which is another A24 movie, not planned at all. But I don't know. Has anybody here seen this? I haven't. Has anybody seen?
I have not.
I believe it came out 2017. I believe he died in 2018. But real quick version of the plot. There's this group. I don't know if it's kind of like a South by or something like it. This is the vibe I got, like where they each year they give out a lifetime achievement award, and he is this actor that has a long and solid career, and he accepts this award, and then it becomes this kind of I don't know, look back or appreciation. I don't know where else it goes beyond that, but it seemed interesting, and all things being equal, seemed like I might die here. Seems like the best choice for this group. So Last Movie Star, Burt Reynolds. That's where we're going.
Excellent. I've never even heard of it. So
it looks like it's on Tubi, or you can rent it on Prime Video.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like Pluto, some of those other ones that probably have some commercials. It looked like. I even looked at that, which I normally don't do. And $2.99, I think, on Amazon. All right, I got to plug in my computer. It's going to die here.
Okay. So Dan, you will be making the pick next week, and I have randomized some numbers here for you. And so here are your two actors that you get to choose from. An actress and an actor. Your choice is Frances McDormand, which you have already picked, by the way.
I have.
And Will Smith.
All right. I'll see what I can come up with.
So really interesting between those two, by the way. Frances McDormand does nothing but unusual movies that are very, like, kind of artistic. And Will Smith does the exact opposite of that most of the time and is an action hero kind of guy, but he's got some tricks up his sleeves as well. So, yeah, totally random. Frances McDormand and Will Smith. And the next pick up would be, who's after Dan? Matt? Probably Matt, right?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
We will randomly pick Matt's actors next week.
That'll do it for this episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Have yourself a great week. We are partnered with the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.